And we are back here with the longest serving coach in Valour FC history, in Patrick Di Stefani. Patrick, thank you so much for joining the podcast here today. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's a kind of a weird because at this time of the year, I'm already 120 miles an hour with some players or getting ready for training. I did my periodizations, like all my plans are there, and we start to get the players, in Winnipeg. So it's kind of a weird, but at the same time. That's the industry that I choose to be in. And, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not that good. But I mean, it doesn't affect my mood, my well being, or I'm not anxious for my future. And things will come, and it's just a matter of a time. And that's it. And it was actually good because I took the time to have a long reflection on those 7 years, and some made me smile, some made me a bit less smile, but I mean, but again, like I always said, even negative experience is still an experience that you must learn. You don't learn just from the good one, but even in the tough times, that's maybe even more a learning time, so yeah. I'm
Yeah,
doing good.
yeah, and I know that obviously, Valor had its ups and downs, but again, there's a lot of good that came from just the franchise in general. Like, I mean, I've had the pleasure of talking with previous guests, even like Matteo Di Brian, Raph O'Heen, and many other different players as well. And um, I know there was definitely the struggles there, and sometimes with financials and things like that. But we actually had a lot of quality on the pitch, and we had a lot of youngsters that have progressed a long way, even to the national team. Matteo just got his call up recently, and I mean yourself. I mean, you're obviously one of the top goalkeeper coaches in Winnipeg and Manitoba, just in general, and across Canada. And you brought in some fantastic keepers that played for Ballard over the years. And I mean, I was just really curious to kind of note here. I mean, can you just talk about, like, I mean, it seems like Valor was really good at developing these young players. And I mean, you can maybe speak more from the goalkeeper side. Like, can you just kind of tell me how Valor played a role in a lot of these players' developments?
Well, I mean, yeah, some I discovered, I went, and some were brought to me. So it's not always my eyes that brought the keepers, but yeah, I mean, like I just come from a country where we have a long history of producing you know top goalkeepers, like from ages, like you go back to, I don't know, Jean-Marie Pfaff, who played for Bayern Munich, Prudhomme, lately Courtois, but I mean, like, and more and more and more and more, Zwilar. So it seems like, like in Belgium, we always says it's the land of the goalies. So grow up with fantastic coaches, then obviously I learned. I learned their, how to do things, what to do. And then I was fortunate to spend 1 year uh, with Royal Sporting Anderlecht, who has a reputation, one of the probably top five youth academy in Europe. They're producing. They have a way to develop players in general, like Vincent Kompany, Lukaku. All those guys came from that school, and the keepers too. So I was fortunate to be in the right setting for me to develop as goalkeeper coach. And after that, well, you take courses, and then the rest goes. But yeah, I mean, I have to say that like the keepers, most of them who came to Valor develop and or continue to develop, because I can't say that, for example, James, I can say, oh, I grabbed James since day one. And no, James came, he was already developed, like, in CF Montreal in his own environment, but it was brought up to us through Rob, and because James needed games. So, and then when James, it's James Pantemis, let's clarify. When James came, quickly identify a couple flaws in his game, and I sat down with James because that's the way I operated. It's not a one-man show. I always sit down with the keepers and have a discussion, and like that, you know what, we can put a plan together to develop or to modify the behavior of the keeper, and that's what happened to James. James came, on the first bubble, so it was we had a chance to be basically 24 hours a day together. Uh, and James is a very intelligent human being, very receptive, and we were able to correct. And when he went back to CF Montreal, CF Montreal, um, back then it was the Impact of Montreal. Olivier Renard just called me and thanked me because they saw a change in the James. And leading to that, that's how I end up with Jonathan. Now, Jonathan was a different story because Jonathan was 18 years old. So he was like, right in the middle of, a post formation. So, and Jonathan had one thing that I have to acknowledge, that he had that willingness to learn, and this unbelievable work ethic. He worked and he worked. The first guy in the gym, the last guy on the field, always helping, and adjust. When I was making a comment, it was very quick to adjust. So, and because of that, the first year he actually set some record in the league and won the Golden Gloves. So the second year, boom, they gave us back Jonathan again because he needed some minutes. And then after that, it's history. James ended up to be in a squad that went to the World Cup. Now he's going in a squad that will be in the World Cup. Jonathan was the same. Now I don't know how it's gonna work for him, but I mean, we all saw the season that he did it last year in the MLS. So I mean, yeah, it's great. And then I had Ryan Yesley also, who we know now. After a while, he left Valour. He felt that you know what, he needed to go to a team where he would have been more challenged, or at least playing for something. And then he ended up at Ottawa. Then from Ottawa, he went to Halifax, and Ryan was also on nomination for Golden Globes. So, James, James, Sirois, Ryan, and Ryan now is actually with the Algerian national team B, and he plays in first division, and the team that is, I don't know if it's in fourth place, fifth or sixth place. And then the last one, the very last one, was Emile. Same thing. I knew Emile, not at the personal level, but I knew it because he was a keeper that we used to play against. He was with Pacific, and when he came, same thing. Great keepers. We identify a couple things, and exactly the same thing. Emile, very strong mentality, very polite, and listen to the teeth. Engage me. I engage him. We knew exactly what he needed, and we had that. And then look at now, he's in Bundesliga. So it's with St. Pauli, and then his first game there, he was on the bench against Borussia Dortmund. So he's doing well, and he actually called me, and because we stay in touch, just like I stay in touch with the other guys, and he says, "Oh, Pat, you know what? My goalkeeper coach is from Belgium too." and he reminds me you when he train, and so I'm like, okay, so you're in the good hands, you know. So it's yeah, I mean, like, and you have to be. I mean, for the past 2 years, the keepers, Valors, it's been a tough job, and not winning, sometimes wins, like, other way, not, it's a, like, Jonathan Viscosi, for example, same thing. Jonathan, 32 years old, and still we identify still few things and respond well. So I have to say, being a goalkeeper for Valor, um, I have to congratulate those guys because it was a challenge. It was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that also comes to speak to, I mean, obviously, like, Valor's, results, are kind of well known and stuff like that. But I think the one thing I really wanted to highlight is just because I really think it's not really talked about enough. Like, I mean, Valor's had some really great keepers that have developed to go on, like you said, with a lot of those goalkeepers just talked about, too, bigger and better. And especially with a lot of these younger keepers that come to you, Patrick, obviously you helped kind of play a part in their development, right? The one kind of key thing I want to ask you though is, I mean, like, they have a lot of that right mentality, that right ability to learn to get to the next stage, but maybe where the places they were before were there any like underlying like denominators, maybe why they weren't able to get that development elsewhere, or like what was the main thing you kind of saw when they came to Valor that you had to kind of like train and get them to more up to speed on?
Well, I mean, like, you have to remember one thing. A couple of them came from a youth kind of environment.
Yeah.
And now you jump in the men's league, man environment where shots are coming harder, faster, ball is moving faster, less error, um, you know, eh, and the error that the teams that makes, it can cost you. So it's all about now, go and find the little things, and adjust and see how quick those keepers will adapt. Uh, Jonathan, for example, 32 years old, he's way past the stage of post formation development. Like, it's actually it was a, if you want it, we can talk after about that. But it was a different thing with him. It was a goalie on his way out, so completely different. But then you have a guy like Jonathan, young guy. Um, you know, I had to make sure that first of all, physically, he would develop too. You got to become bigger, stronger. Because now you face mans, especially on the corner. You get a bunch of guys in front of you, so that was part also of concern. But you can train as much as you want. You can train 20, 30 hours a week. At the end of the day, if you don't have a game at the same level, um, then you're gonna be in trouble. And that's why CF Montreal or Impact of Montreal, when they called us, first they called Rob, and then after obviously Phil, they told us as like, we need our guys to play games. They need minutes. If not, it's never gonna work. And the keeper can only get better and better it through games. So, it was the perfect setting. It was not just a training, but what we were doing during the week, we had a chance to actually see it on the field on the weekend, at the real scale, but also, like, close to the environment that if those guys were going back to CF Montreal, they would have to play MLS. So, it's the whole, um, how can I say that? It's not just one element. You need the whole vision, the whole picture, to produce a keeper that will eventually go. And after that, my goodness, it's timing. You got to be in front of the right person at the right time, at the right place. And I know some keepers who are great and never had that opportunities, and they play like lower division or whatever. So yeah, it's a complicated, but you know you have to have the eyes too. Like it's a when you see, you have to identify and then start to break down. That's number one. But after that, once you break down, you got to come up with a solution because the keeper is waiting for that. It's not just like buddy, your angles are not good. Okay, coach. Um, but it's been 10 times you're telling me. How are we gonna fix that? Like, are we gonna work? Are you gonna put some session on angles? Like, then when I face an opponent in the game, I'm comfortable where am I? So you see, it's not just like, pointing, but it's bring the solution for this keeper now to be able to perform at his best. So I have to provide the tools that's gonna help him to perform.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of a combination of things, and I think that's one thing that's, is very crucial. I mean, like, obviously, you played at a professional level before, have the highest level of, coaching as well, and I mean, you just kinda speaks facts to the Canadian Premier League in general. Like, the league has a lot of good quality there. You just look at the previous, call-ups for the national team camp, like, Jesse Marsch called up a lot of CPL talent, right? Including, former Valour FC player Matteo Di and a lot of these keepers maybe don't get the chance, like you're kinda saying, to get that playing. Because again, the best way you're gonna learn is by actually being in games, right? And that's either from mistakes or just being able to play with high quality players. And you kind of saw it with, Pantemis as well, Yisley, and how they're able to take their games from there. Because again, you got great teams in the CPL. Like, I mean, Forge has always been a great team that's been obviously won many titles there. Atletico Ottawa has been great as well. So again, getting to play those high quality teams probably played a lot of part in development, especially having that back end support with the, not only the training, but the mentality and how they can ultimately just roll around their game, probably just really help set them up for success. And I think that's one thing that we don't pay enough attention of, especially for goalkeepers, is again, it's sometimes opportunities are limited, especially in the professional sports. So again, just having that chance and having, even the guys on loan come to Winnipeg get the opportunity is maybe the only thing is maybe that one thing that they need to help turn it around for them, and especially with you supporting them, it can well round all that experience there.
Well, you know what? It's funny you talk about that because again I'm taking like I'm talking about the teams that I know because I was part of Anderlecht, but then after I went 5 years being assistant coach with the Royal Union Saint-Gilloise, who they're playing the Champions League now. Back then we were in third and second division, so but the youth, for example, the Anderlecht youth, okay? If Anderlecht plays Bruges, okay, first division, the first team, well, the rest of the youth team, the 17, the 15, they're playing Bruges too. So now, suddenly, this kid who is 11 years old, he has a top match every Saturday. He's in the competition where the guy is gonna face, they're as good as him. So for him, he's gonna develop, number one. Number two, um, he's gonna start to be immune to the stress. You know, it's not like our kids, for example, once a year they go into a tournament against the Americans or whatever, and then they face competition like bigger than them, and it's like and they perform. Don't get me wrong, but they're like whoa, once a year, top competition is not enough. It should be weekend after weekend after weekend after weekend. Now, in the city of Winnipeg, complicated to do it. And again, like, I leave that to the technical director, the MSA, all those guys to create that. I'm not, but it's just a reality that the kid who is a keeper, U15 Manchester United, trust me, next week he's going to play Chelsea. He's going to play Man City. Then when he goes on tournament, he's not going against Bonivital. He's going against yeah, PSG. He's going to go Marseille. He's going to go Juve, Rome. Those are so. This kid, when he's 17 years old, mentally, he's ready. He's engaged. He knows what big games are. It's not once a week, and that's I think this is where in Winnipeg, it's the competition. It's not high enough. It's not strong enough for those players to take them to I think, to the next stage.
Well, it's also really interesting you mentioned that too, because obviously there's some big news that's happened across Manitoba and the Prairies. I mean, League One officially
Mm.
announced there with I believe there were 7 teams across. I mean, three here and at least in Winnipeg. So I mean that could be an area that again long needed. I've been saying this is like I wish I had this growing up, but again, this could be that missing piece that you're kind of mentioning here, like a semi-professional league and opportunities for these youth to get playing time at a pretty high level. So that could be an area that we could see that gap be filled.
Well, yeah, because I mean, like, again, those teams, first of all, just like Valour was like, a product that was a team where like young players, they aspired to play. Like, when I was doing a camp with the keepers, like, 10 years old, 12 years old, they says, "Oh, coach, one day you're going to coach me at Valor." It's an inspiration. Well, now with this league, which is a fantastic, and I wish all the best to the Manitoba teams to perform, um, it's going to create, for example, I don't know, Bonnie Vital, Phoenix, and I think FC Manitoba. Those are 3 teams. Am I correct?
Yeah, it was like Lucania.
And Lucania too. Okay. So, um, for example, Bonnie Vital. I'm taking Bonnie Vital. It's a club, so they have a full youth system. And again, I'm not talking about the other club. I'm just pick that one. I could pick one or so with but now Bonnie Vital doesn't have millions of dollars to go and buy players to play in that league. So what's going to happen now? They're gonna rely on the source to provide and to develop players that are going to play at that level, the League One Prairies. So now it's going to put now we actually going to see if the clubs are up to the standards, because you know what, they're going to have to develop young players to eventually in 2-3 years play for their first team and then go. And it does also something very good for the young players, because now it's in their backyard. It's at home. Hey, you know what? I'm going to train harder. I'm going to be more focused on it, dedicated, because you know what? One day I'm going to play in this league. Hopefully, a women's team is going to come back or come actually, and maybe a CPL team is going to come back. But then it's even better when CPL comes back. Then you have that League One, that can actually maybe now produce players to feed the top tier in Manitoba, which is the CPL. So see, I think it's a very very fantastic news for Winnipeg, for those clubs who are going to be involved, like the FC and all the CI, and I know there's some clubs like FC Manitoba. It's like they do a good job with the 1v1 with their academy to produce things, and it'll be great for that level. It'll be it'll be a fun, I think, a fun league to watch, and hopefully entertaining, and hopefully the Winnipeg soccer um, community will actually embrace this league.
Well, and I think I know that's obviously was a main talking point a lot with Valor and the recent news of that. But I think just from what I'm seeing again, it's going to be a lot of homegrown talent, right, and giving a lot of opportunities to the youth players, like you're kind of saying. And we've seen it at the top levels as well. Like I mean, obviously, if you look at the very top, Barcelona is one of the major ones that relies on their academy for a lot of their players. Borussia Dortmund as well, and many other clubs. So, and you know what, this is something that, like again, it provides a lot more exposure, a lot more experience for these players, right? Instead of having to go cold and go into another university environment out of province, for example, and be fine for a spot there. They can get a lot of experience prior to those moves and get that experience that can take them up that notch, right? I mean, you see Alberta having a League One league already. You're seeing Ontario. I played against that league as well, and you can see a quality that's already developed there. So it's only going to develop in here even further here in Manitoba. So honestly, sky's the limit here. And again, we'll have to kind of see how this goes out. I mean, I'm really excited for all teams in this league, but again, I do think that this club will be embraced. This league will be embraced by the Manitoba community here, especially. It's just going to be fun. It's just going to be interesting to see where the home fields are going to lie. There's only a certain amount of resources here, whether it be Contafio, obviously Memorial, probably where Bonnie Patel plays, and other fields like that. So again, we'll stay tuned on that, and obviously we'll probably talk. I mean, I'm assuming we'll talk about it in the near future here. Now, Patrick, I wanted to kind of just go back a little bit to Valour. So obviously you're the longest serving coach in Valour history from its inception to ultimately its ceasing operations here back in December. Now, just kind of take me back. Is there, I know there's a lot of pauses, but what was like your favorite memory off the top of your head from your time with Valour? Any of the moments that stand out to you?
Well, there's a lot. I mean, you know what? There's one that it's actually unfortunately ironic. First game of Valour history, we play at Pacific, and Rob is the head coach, Damien the assistant, and I'm the goalkeeper coach, and then we end up to win our first ever Valour game. Well, the last game of the last season of Valour, guess where we're playing? We're playing Pacific, and then we win. And then I'm in the dressing room, and I sit down, and I'm like, I'm thinking, I'm like, all the rumors that I hear. This would be pathetic that this is the last game. It'd be the last game where we start our first game. The history after. Okay, so to me, that was a memory. Another memory is, remember when we were in the bubble, and we used to go every evening in Rob's bedroom to watch Ted Lasso. So have a good laugh with that. Recently with Phil, the Whitecaps, game. I mean, we shake them pretty well until almost the last minute. So those are good memories. And then after it's yeah, it's personal memories where I met a bunch of great guys, like coaches, medical staff, but also players. You talk about refereeing, but I can name players like I can remember Gallardo. Gallardo, well, played for Anderlecht actually, but Gallardo was also players, that plays in the team with Neymar, and so all those guys, and it gives me a chance to again grow, in experience, and sees players from different continent. It's always because football, it's all about that. It's about the relationship. It's emotion. It's a very emotional game. And yeah, it was for me. It's a positive. But like you said before, hey, could have been done better. Could have been this. Could have did. Could that. It's like, buddy, I'm a coach. I'm not a politician. I leave that to the people to reflect on it. Like I said to you, for me, every year at the end of the season, I had to sit down myself, not with anybody else, and review my work. Did I do enough for my guys? Did I equip them with the right tools to perform? That's at the end of the day, everybody has to go through this exercise. But yeah, I've got tons and tons of memories where when I think I'm just have a smile on my face.
No, that's amazing. I think that's great to hear multiple, just good moments there. And I want to touch on the last season as well, because the last season a lot of positive momentum. I think I was probably one, honestly, I've seen the team play at its best. Like, I mean, you saw against the Whitecaps in the Canadian Championship, amazing times there too. And I wanted just to get a little bit more insight here, just because I had the privilege of talking with Andy Baccaro. I'm pretty sure you know Andy, and he was talking about his favorite moments was the bubble. Where the team was always together. And I know, obviously, I'm pretty sure you know with the club Benfica. and how one of their philosophies is that the team always like does everything together. And I was just kind of interested. You kind of talked about going to Rob's room, watching Ted Lasso, great show by the way. But like any kind of moments from the bubble that you just like, I'm really here to see your perspective. Was there anything like kind of brought out more from the team in the bubble? Because I feel like it's not talked about enough.
Well, you know what? The bubble was there was two bubble. The first one was in PEI, and that was actually um, special in a way that we uh, we couldn't train in Winnipeg, so we had a bunch of a Zoom training, like do whatever, like yoga or like hit work on a Zoom. So there you start to create relationship, but you never shook hands with with nobody. So it's like finally you get on the field, and I remember came in and Rob like divide the field in four, and then we had station. So the guys were coming in station. We had the mask and blah blah blah. You know what? So now from that, boom, we go to PEI, 6 game. That's what it was, 6 games. So the margin of error is like very very slim. Have your nose swap every day, and eat together, be always together, do activities, and like so it create this uh, this family bonding, and this is where if something goes wrong on the field, you're gonna have to rely to that bonding. If you don't have that, if something goes wrong on the field, it will go wrong. Trust me, and very quick and very bad. So if you create a bunch of friends that step on the field, work for each other, with each others, I'm not saying you're going to win the game, but it might go better. So that was the first bubble. The second bubble was like, completely different because here we are now. We trained before, uh, and now you're locked in your own city. Like I'm in the hotel, and I'm like 5K from my home. So it's kind of like, oh boy. And we had a fantastic run in that bubble. We were just destroying people. It's like but again, same thing. We had activities, games, all kind of things, always together, together, together. And I think that's what you need before the team step on the field. You need to create this family bond that will eventually save you when something goes wrong. And you've seen that. The best moment to me when he came out, it was the Whitecaps. They knew it. They knew it that, man, if we step, because at that time, remember that, at that time, the Whitecaps were the best team in North America. It's like, they were flying, yeah? So we thinking, and a lot of people, including people in this city, in Winnipeg, thought like, oh my gosh, those guys going to be slapped around like, it's going to be slaughter. A lot of people, I'm telling you, I'm not afraid to say it, in the city, outside the city. So the players, they knew that. They quickly realized that the only way, not just to survive, but put up like a good fight, it's to step on the field as one unit. If we step as individual players, those guys are going to kill us. And that's what happened. They played as a unit for each other, with each other. It was not 11 bodies. It was one body, one unit that stepped on the field and produced a result, to the point where after the game, their coach was like, we didn't expect to be, for them to shake us like that. We did not expect. So now, the way back, the second round, the team, the Vancouver knew it, and we knew that, man, those guys are going to be prepared. Now, this is, if you think that the home game was a fight, away game is going to be something different. Now, way more people on the stands, but big deal. The stand is a big deal. Trust me, once you're in the field, you're in your zone and that's it. But now a Whitecaps team that, start 11, didn't want to go out. So, but again, our guys were like, guys, step on the field as a family, as a unit, and then we'll do the job. And they came very, very close too. So, it's a, yeah, it's a very, very important, um, you know, aspect of the game. And that belongs to, first of all, the coaches. We have to create the environment for the team to come together. But after that, it's the players. If the players don't want to come together, it doesn't matter how much the coach wants it. You know, just like when the players are stepping on the field, man, I remember sometimes yelling information to Elias, and then at the halftime, I say, Elias, you didn't hear me. He said, no, Pat, I didn't hear you. Sorry, you know. So they're in their zone. So, this is for me, of all the years that I've been coaching, it's one big aspect. Can you create this family to get together, to come together and play as a unit? Because at the end of the day, football or soccer, it's a team sport, right? But played by individual. So, it's not ping pong, it's not tennis, it's not snooker, it's not bowling. It's a team, but you have 11 individual that's got to come together and produce a team performance. So, it's yeah, it's not easy.
Well,
But I think that's why Andy was referring that, he felt that, yeah, it was a bubble. Yes, we were locked out, but it was this sense of a family unity that helps helps them to, yeah, to go through this horrible moment for society. Never mind for soccer, it was for society.
yeah, and I mean, I want to get your opinion on this last season too, because we'll get a little more into it. But yeah, I was actually in the stands for that Vancouver Whitecaps game and for a lot of the season here, and it just felt like the team rose with adversity. There was a collective, right? And I feel like that's what makes them sometimes the best teams, right? Like again, I know you say it's a team sport, but it's made of individuals, but it's how you come together and how can you fight through adversity. And I mean, I still remember when Rocco Romero scored scored that goal to tie it up. It was the stadium went crazy for it. And honestly, like again, it's been one of those things where at least from my time watching the club since when it was first started, it just felt different this year. And honestly, I mean, with signing of like Keon Froze and Temi always as good as Rocco and even Viscosi as well. Like I felt like this team was like right on the precipice of taking that next step and having a great season this next season. I know you kind of touched on it, like the team was very like collective. A lot more of a unit, more of a collective cohesion in the team this year. But like in your assessment, was this last season like the best that you've seen the team perform on the pitch, in your opinion?
Uh, yes and no. I mean, like I said, like, I've seen the team, Valour, in the bubble in Winnipeg, performing like, unbelievable, like, against Forge, against all that. I mean, I think every season, bring different moments. Like, the league, for example, since being like, a survivor, 7 years, in this league, I saw the progression of, the values of the players, like, the individual players from day one to the sevens, like, the talent, the technical abilities, the tactical, the physical, like, just increase every day. So it wouldn't be it won't be fair for me to say that, the first year valors, like, wouldn't be able to compete, in the league from last year. But there's one thing for sure, this league, the level of the league increased. So, you know, did I think the past 2 years, man, this is me, eh? Um, Not the last season, the season before, we had an horrible, a very horrible start of the season. Remember, we played 7, 8 games away. Okay, so that did the job. We didn't make the playoff not because the last game of the season. It was back then.
Yeah, and that was because the brand new pitch was being installed, right?
Exactly, 100%. Has nothing to do with the quality of the players, the coaching staff, the players. No, it was just new pitch. Cannot step on the pitch until I think end of May or June. So that you know did to us, because after that bad start, now you're not competing, you're chasing. You're not chasing more, chasing more, chasing more, and it's very complicated because the other teams are growing as well, and the team right in front of you, man, they don't want to fall back. So it's a fight. Okay. Last year, we had moments where we were looking, and even the commentator were like, holy smoke, this is our team, man. It's like, geez, when we play against Forge, because I know the coaching staff, so Bobby and everybody else there it's like, man, every time we play against you, it's a nightmare, because for whatever reason, you guys come to a level that we don't see. And but again, if you're looking at it, at the end of the season, we're not like 20 points away from the playoff. So we lost a couple games that we should have never lost. And that at the end, it gave us. When you have a league of 8 team, it'll do the job. But it does also the thing that couple wins, you're on top of the league. Couple loss, you're at the bottom of the league. Now, when you have a league of 18, well, it's spread out through the whole season. You quickly know the first one, they're gone. And then after that, it's a good battle. You have 36 games or 40 games, 42 games, whatever. Here, man, the season's very condensed, very quick. 2, 3 lost, you're down. So then to answer your question, I can't say that the team, performed better than the first year or in the bubble, because I think it was different moment in the history of this league.
Yeah, and I mean every team as well brings different. I mean, I know obviously the CPL has had its growing pains throughout the years. I mean, obviously with the COVID season, and geez, that's over 6 years ago now. It's crazy how much time has flown by. And yeah, no, I think each team has obviously had its pros and cons. And I mean, I don't know. I just think like last year, I just think that there was a really good. It just had a lot of positive momentum. I was really sad to hear the news, obviously, and with all the great players that we were signing too.
You know what? There's one word that basically come to my mind with the Valour: consistency in their performance. We were not consistent in our performance. That one way or the other, understanding the word consistent the way you want it. But if you're looking at the teams who are always in the top 3, which is like, most of the time, Cavalry, Forge, Atletico, Ottawa. Now, if you analyze their performance, there's always one thing that comes. Week after week, most of the time, because even them, sometimes they have a dump, they're consistent in their performance. The way they perform, the way they step on the field, the way they play, they're consistent. And I think that's what, at the end, Valour was actually become consistent. And it was a good sign for the future. But the carpet was pulled away from us under our feet. And history is history. So if I could give an advice to those teams who are going to play in that league, the Premier League, it's, man, coaches, please, and players, be consistent in your performance. That, it's a long way to go, and performance will be there, but consistent. It's the same with the keepers. That's what the Pentemis and Sirois, what's his name? Even Ryan, now Gazdorf. I think they were consistent in their performance in the game, even if it was going wrong, in front of them. But once a while, boom, mistake from the keeper too. That's you know, when you get 3 shots in a game, and when you get 25 shots in a game, well, the ratio. Guess who has more chance to do mistakes? But he has more chance also to do good things. So, and that was the story of our keepers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think obviously consistency is key no matter what. And I think, yeah, I can really see that just being from a Valor supporter, so like, Valor supporter here. I guess that was them. They can go from big performances, great performances, and then maybe not have the same performances week in, week out, which again, obviously does. In a league like the CPL with 8 teams, like, every match is going to have that much more importance for 3 points is always what's needed. But
You
um,
know what? One group that was always consistent, it was the fans.
yeah,
I remember like cold, rain, like storm. Those guys were always there. The trench, the other fans, those were consistent. And that's a good memory too. See, you talk about the memories. It's the fans, the way the guys embraced us. I remember it's like we lose and then we go around and thanks the fan, and the guy says like, "Don't worry, Pat, don't worry. Next game we'll get it. We got your back. We got so it's a great fans, great fans.
yeah. I mean, I've had the privilege of being at a lot of River Rising events, especially with the announcement with the team folding. We had the get together there at the King's Head Pub, and it's kind of celebrating like the fact that Valor was even here, and just that whole aspect there too. And again, yeah, like I mean, you could see it either whether it be at Jets games, either at Bomber games, even at Valor games too. That there's passionate fans here, and that's the thing that is one thing you can always see, especially with the Trench, River Rising, and many other supporters here as well.
100%. And that's why I think if the team comes back, or the women team comes, I think they will embrace either one or both. Again, they will embrace. I'm not because that's Winnipeg.
one Hundred percent.
There's one thing you can't take away from Winnipeggers. It's uh, you know people get up in the morning, man. They go to work. They're fantastic people, and I don't care what the people say. Ah, it's cold. Yes, it's cold. Still, get up and work. So it's a very unique community, and I could tell you because I've been around the world. Um, but those guys are fantastic, fantastic.
Yeah, especially in with the recent weather here, -40, -45. We still get up and go to work every day, plug those cars in, and get to work.
That's
So now, Patrick, I've been really wanting to ask this question. And again, I don't know if you give me a straight answer here, but you always said this time of year, you're scouting, you're looking for, new goalies and things like that. Now, in your time with Valor, since you've been with them, was there any players that you're just like were on the tip of the verge of signing them, or was there any players that got away that you were really excited about that maybe just couldn't get over the line there? Anyone stand
I
out?
know who you think about it. Yeah, Robin and Damien worked hard to bring Diego Forlan. So I was excited about that player to come. So yeah, those were the guys. But you know what? I with all the players that Valor brought from day one till the end, I you know I was always happy. I mean, there's some players there, of course, like you debate it. Should we grab it? Should we not? And then at the end, we grab the band. It's a floss. But I mean, it happened to Manchester United. It happened to City. It's happened to Barcelona. It's but at the end of the day, for me, I always I always enjoyed. This keeper. I didn't mention the name Tyson, or even Matt Silva. Matt's still playing. Matt very professional. Like the way he works, the way he lives his life. Clean, eat, and everything. You know what? Those are Elias, uh, fantastic keepers as well. Now he plays for Pacific. So I'm, like I say, always been excited. And I always told my keepers, you're here by design and by desire. Always. I always say that to my keepers. You're here because we design for you to be here, but most of all, we desire you to be here. And once a players knows that the coach have that feeling, it's good. Lately, a bunch of my old keepers or former keepers, um, wrote things about their Valour experience with Patrick and this and that. And it's funny because Emil, for example, he wrote that Patrick is a very nice guy to be around, but when he steps on the field, it's business. And the keepers, they know that. As soon as you step on the field, buddy, this is not Disneyland. You're accountable. You get paid at the end of the month. You get a check. You have to honor your check. You have to honor the people who signed the check. You like them or not, I don't care, but they still signed the check. And when you step on the field, game day, you have to remember some people sacrifice their money to buy ticket season. You have a responsibility to maybe not to win, but to put up a show, to put up a fight, just to honor those people. So to me, that's that's very important. That, but again, like to say, yeah, I was very excited. Yeah, Diogo. So that could have been an interesting player to come and and watch playing.
Well, and I think also just too, like, I mean, I've been around the club for a little bit, and here's some, passing. I think one of the big things I've heard, especially with other players I've talked to, is this transparency with the players and coach, right? That relationship. And it seems like, I'm just speaking in general here, but sometimes it feels like the players feel like they don't get the full transparency with the coaches and players. And I feel like that was one big thing with even when you see the coaches with the goalie who's writing about you, they felt like they had that good relationship with you. You feel like you could tell them what they need to improve on, and you could build that relationship, right? And I feel like that's a big thing that kind of goes a little bit unnoticed sometimes, because again, sometimes players are wanting to improve, but maybe they're not getting the information that they need from their coach and how they can go about that. But what I've heard from the community, especially with around the team, you always were transparent with your players. And again, when you stepped on the field, it was business. It wasn't just for leisure, for pleasure. It was to get to go out there and do a job and try to do it the best of your ability.
Well, I try my best. I mean, there's sometimes things that I don't control, that the head coach control. Sometimes I don't control, the head coach doesn't control, but it's the management control. And it's funny because at that moment, maybe those players are or mad at us, but it's funny, and that I observe them. At the end of their career, those players become coaches. And then, sometimes I watch them on videos, this and that, and I'm like, funny. Now you talk our language. Now you're on the other side of the fence. Now you find out that not everything is controllable, you know. But if you talk to my guys, at the end of the game, I first of all, I don't talk. At the end of the game, I don't talk. I go, and says a good game, a good effort, whatever, and I leave them. Good or bad, I don't do it. The day after, when the emotions are down now, win or lose, now we can work. And you work with your head now, not with your heart. And you speak with your head and not with your heart. So now we go through the videos, and trust me, you can ask Rob or Phil, you know what? I never waited for those guys to tell my keeper they made a mistake. I was always the first one. I said, buddy, come in my office tomorrow. And then I showed them and says, you see, sometimes they would argue. I was like, okay, I'll show you. I'll show you the video. It's like, it's your fault. End of the story. Now, it's been 2-3 times the same mistake. We need to address this. or like, hey, it's a fluke, it's a mistake, but it's still your mistake. Own your mistake. That's the only way to grow. So yeah, I try to be as as much as I can transparent with my relationship with the keeper. So
Well, again, that just speaks volumes again to obviously your experience as a professional player and also as a professional goalkeeper coach. I mean, your resume speaks for itself. Like we kind of said, like you're, geez, I think the longest like career basically as a goalkeeper coach, especially here in Canada. It's like over 35. Is it 35 years or am I wrong on that?
7.
Whoo, geez. Okay, even before I was born. So, but Patrick, I guess, you know, I think this is really important to kind of talk about your time, obviously being the longest serving coach in Valor history, get into your recollection on the whole, just the whole existence of Valor. Hopefully it's not the end. I mean, hopefully we can see a new team, like another team come in for the CPL in Winnipeg. But now, right? Like, I mean, there's no Valor coming up this upcoming season. I don't know if you're willing, if you can disclose anything, but is there anything on the horizon here for Patrick?
That's for me.
Uh,
Yeah, I had couple call, and some I gratefully and politely denied, um, because also, you know what, it's an opportunity. It's one thing, but I mean, like it's got to make sense for myself, for my family.
Let it rain. Yeah, my phone's lighting up, but I'm just gonna let it rain.